We're joined by Pam O'Donnell, founder of the Catch You Later Foundation, and Maureen Vogel, Director of Communications for the National Safety Council, who will talk to us about the risks, including the fatalities that can result from distracted driving. Pam, Maureen, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for having us.
Pam, you started the Catch You Later Foundation in response to a tragic loss that you had in your family after a horrific car crash. Can you share a little more about your story and your nonprofit organization?
Sure. On February 22nd of 2016, my husband and my 5-year-old were coming home from a routine day at school. He was a school teacher in Jersey City. He had my daughter, who was 5, in her car seat, as she should be, right behind him, though. And he was pulling into a toll plaza to take a ticket. He didn't have an easy pass. And an impaired, distracted driver came up right behind him going 55 miles per hour in a 5 mile per hour zone and propelled him into oncoming traffic. My husband died at the scene, and it wasn't until maybe an hour or so later that I got a phone call at work that detectives were coming to pick me up and bring me to the hospital to identify the body of my now deceased 5-year-old. So we formed our foundation. I refuse to let them die in vain. So we formed our foundation that does give out scholarships. We go out to high schools. I went to the National Safety Council advocate meeting in Chicago, Ithaca, in November. And, hopefully we'll be working more together. So that comes into play when I go out and talk about distracted and impaired driving at high schools, church services, corporate companies. I always mention National Safety Council, the workshop that I did. I refuse to let my family die in vain, and it'll be 5 years this upcoming February that we lost half of our family, which is a hard issue because I realized at approximately 3:20 p.m. my daughter will now have been dead longer than she was alive. So we do give out scholarships. We do work with National Safety Council. I share things, they share things. We go out to schools and, we try to get to the kids as they're getting their permits and their licenses. So, our foundation, we give out scholarships in memory of my son and daughter. My husband and daughter. But we need to get the word out there. Sadly, distracted and impaired driving, I found, is not talked quite as much publicly. We don't get the CNN town halls. We don't get the Dateline hour episodes. And we need to get more of that to spread that message and save lives. If we get to one person, then it's worth it for me to do what I'm doing. And I'm glad that the National Safety Council has had me at their workshop. I'm glad we communicate. They are a source of great information. Their website is amazing. Anybody could go on and get statistics and talk to people like Maureen and everybody else that I spoke with. And, I refuse to let them die in vain. I see it as an epidemic that nobody wants to talk about. And we really do need to work together to get the word out and make people realize it's a 3,000-pound weapon of mass destruction. So when you get behind that wheel, if we could change the narrative of somebody's thinking, and if we can just change one person's mind, together we can move mountains.
Maureen, when it comes to data, and Pam alluded to this, what is recent data? What's the latest that in terms of reports about what's going on the roads?
Yeah, so stories like Pam's are tragically too common. Unfortunately, we lose as many as 40,000 people a year in completely preventable traffic crashes. And most recently, we're seeing in the pandemic that traffic rates are up. So what that means is that we have taken vehicles off the road. Our miles driven have decreased because of quarantines, but we haven't reaped a safety benefit from that. So the people who are out on the roads are dying.
It's unfortunate that it's not taken on a national level, that politicians are not talking about it. We need to get more lawmakers on board to change some punishment penalties, even just having a conversation. You know, I would love to see a CNN town hall. We've had them for mass shootings. We have them for the opioid addiction, which are all very important. But we also, I feel like we're kind of like on a back burner because it's for approximately 40,000 people are dying. And, you know, we don't get the press that I think we need. So I'm grateful for you reaching out to me, Mabel, to talk about this situation because it does need to get out there. And to Maureen's point, I'm driving up and down our highways every day, you know, spreading awareness. And I see it all the time, even through the COVID. Far less cars were on the road, but I would see people driving in excess of 100 miles per hour.
Pam, I know that prior to the pandemic, you were actually going out to the high school, specifically Bayonne High School. You were talking to students, having discussion, engaging in demonstrations where they could actually test and see what it's like to be impaired after, let's say, a couple of drinks. Can you talk to us about those demonstrations and when do you foresee them taking place once again?
Sure. What I did was through my foundation and the generosity of others, I was able to purchase there's goggles, there's marijuana goggles, there's alcohol goggles. So through my foundation and the generosity of others, I was able to purchase them. And when I go and I do talks at any school, whether it's my local school, I've been all over New Jersey to many, many other schools, I bring the goggles with me so that the children, the teens rather, could try them on and see exactly what it's like to focus with the goggles on and see how impaired they are. So when you get to a student, let's say a sophomore, junior class is what I normally talk to, I have them put the goggles on. And I bought a path because we are in a classroom. When the nicer weather comes out, we are able to do it in the parking lot. And I make them walk a path that has, it'll have like a little old lady walking with a walker. It'll have a mailman. It'll have a dog crossing the street, a child going after a ball. So I make the student walk the path first, straight without the goggles. And then they put the goggles on, and it's the emotion that comes out of them is like, oh my goodness, I can't, like they could see three of me. So they really do get a taste for what it's like to drive behind the wheel, distracted or impaired. I make them walk the path with their phones, you know, as if they're texting somebody, and they can then see exactly like, wow, I really killed that fake old lady crossing the street because I was looking at my phone. Last year, we did a car crash recreation in the city of Bayonne with Bayonne High School. And any talk, the feedback that we got was any talk of any kid, you know, trying to get beer or whatever for the after party, that all ceased once we did the car crash recreation. So not one kid got thrown out of the prom. Nobody got arrested. Graduation was as fun and as alcohol free as it could be. So we are changing the narrative. I don't claim to be, you know, an expert. I'm just a mom hoping that it doesn't happen to somebody else. And, you know, I always encourage the parents to have a conversation with their students because you often see parents are texting and driving. And if the parents are doing it, their kids are going to do it.
For students who want to participate in the scholarship program aspect of the foundation, what do they need to do and what are the qualifications? I guess at this point it would be for next year.
Yeah, the kids, we give out very small. They're $2,000 each. We give out one for because we live in the city of Bayonne. We give out a $2,000 scholarship to a student that lives in Bayonne and can go to any high school in Hudson County in New Jersey. And we also give out a $2,000 scholarship to a county prep high school student because that was the school my husband taught at. So they can go to our website. They can find the Catch You Later Foundation on Facebook. We're also on Instagram. Our website, which is www.catchyoulater.org. The application is actually on the website. And a lot of the questions have to do with, we made it very personal. Like one question is, how can you work with your peers to decrease the numbers of distracted and impaired driving? What can you do as a young person? How can you spread awareness? So we always modeled the questions. The applications are very simple. It's 6 questions regarding my husband and daughter. What do you do to volunteer? What are some of the traits that you have that my husband and daughter would have? How would you talk to your peers about distracted and impaired driving? You know, if we all work together, we can move mountains.
You're absolutely right. Mountains can be moved, but it takes a village.